But thanks everybody for joining the call. Man, we love to hear from all you guys. What we kind of ask everybody to do is as you jump in, just go ahead and mute yourself. You are free to leave your camera on if you like, but don't feel like you need to. The way these calls usually run is, we just kind of talk through them, and we have usually a fantastic presenter who's, just going to take up the time and talk through their notes. And if you've got any questions, feel free to, you can message myself or Sean via the Messenger app within Zoom, or even, shoot us a message on our cell if you've got that number. My number is 404-697-6275. So you're welcome to send me any questions you got. And then our presenters will oftentimes stop, and there'll be an opportunity for questions there as well. And it's kind of first come, first served basis. There is an option if you're using the Zoom app to raise your hand too. So you can do that in case you'd like to ask a question or stop the flow. So I'm going to go ahead and, without further ado, introduce our presenter today. And our presenter is Stephanie Wilkes. Stephanie, I hope I pronounced your last name correctly.
Jake, but I'll get it.
What is the correct pronunciation?
It's Wilkes.
Wilkes, okay, yeah. Wilkes. It was one or the other. I had to pick one and went with it, so
it's
sorry
all
about
good.
that. Stephanie Wilkes, and this from a guy whose first name is Jakin, which has never been pronounced correctly, so I totally get it and understand. But we're excited to have you on with us today, Stephanie. Stephanie is an incredible consultant and coach. She's got more than 25 years experience in the consumer packaged goods industry. She has had the honor of stewarding and nurturing people on teams and with brands and businesses across the globe. And she's worked with some incredible brands like Trident, Halls, Oreo, Jacobs Coffee. Stephanie is just incredibly gifted. She's the global category president, and president of regional business. And she's led cross-functional teams on with more than 400 people, leading a business of over $6 billion and managing budgets of over 100 million. So she's got an incredible experience. And today, Stephanie is going to be talking with us about spiritual wellness. So if you remember our 6 dimensions of wellness, you get extra credit if you can remember all 6 of them. But today we're going to be talking about the spiritual dimension of wellness. And so, Stephanie, I'm going to go ahead and let you jump in on this because I want to get as much time to you as we can. So if you could, if I miss anything in the introduction, please continue to include whatever pertinent information, and then just take us into this stuff that you've got, this incredible presentation that you pulled together for us. We're excited to hear about it.
I will, Jake. And do you want me to share it, or will you be sharing it? What's best?
I don't have it with me, but Sean might. Sean,
no, I got it, so I'll share it. Let me just get it open.
You roll with it.
Yeah, cool. Well, good. Well, yeah. I don't know if everyone is East Coast based, but hopefully, or if you are, good afternoon and good morning for anyone who's calling in from the West Coast. It's quite frankly, it's a bit of an honor for me to be here as well. I really respect and appreciate the work that's being done. And the couple things Jake missed, I'm a mom of 2 kids. I have a 20-year-old and an 18-year-old, and the mom of 2 dogs, one of which you will absolutely see behind me as I'm talking, who just got his hair cut today. So he's feeling a little bit pity for himself because it's not an experience he likes. And I live in New Jersey, but I'm originally from Canada. So just a little more background on me. Love skiing, love kind of anything I can do outdoors. And I'm just going to share the screen here. So give me 1 second while that loads. Can everyone see it? Okay, thanks, Sean. And so so the first thing I'd love us to do, we're going to talk about spiritual wellness. And it's one of those topics I think that can be quite charged because depending on your belief system, it can feel really threatening. And so I'm going to talk about it in really quite an inclusive way that makes a distinction between what can be included in spiritual wellness versus religion. And so the other thing I'll just say as a public health warning more than anything is I may use terms that feel inconsistent with your belief system. Please know I come with incredibly positive, inclusive intent. And so if anything I say sits poorly or offends you, just please let me know. It's not my intention at all. And I really want to make sure we're operating in a way that makes everyone feel as safe and comfortable as possible. What I'd actually love to start with is something that is both helpful for me as our guide today in the conversation, but is actually a practice that I find really helpful in supporting people and getting connected with their own kind of sense of wellness and spiritual wellness. And that's the third one on this list. But I'd love if we could just go around to the people that are on the call, share your name, and then I'd ask you to share 3 other things. In this moment, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? And what are you hoping to get from this session? And we'll just go around in whatever way makes sense. I can't see everyone anymore on the screen, so I'll just say whoever wants to go first, please start. And you know, my invitation is be as kind of connected and you know, direct with yourself around what you're thinking right now and feeling, because it's a big important part about how we start to connect in with our sense of spiritual wellness. So I'll start. Name is Stephanie. I'm thinking that there's a lot of material to cover, and I'm going to try to not talk too fast. I'm feeling a little nervous because it's a topic that matters to me a ton, and I don't know how you guys will receive it. And what I want to get from this session is just being of service in as best possible way I can do for all of you. So whoever likes to go next, please go ahead.
Stephanie, I'll go. I'm Dennis. I'm thinking that I'm really looking forward to this. I'm feeling, actually, I'm a little nervous because when you look at all of the aspects of wellness, this is probably the one that I don't spend a whole lot of energy in. And that's what I'm hoping to get from this session is just a little bit more awareness, insight, and a different perspective.
Thanks, Dennis.
I'm Charles. What I'm thinking, I guess I'm thinking about a lot of other things that I got going on. so feeling a little anxious. And I'm hoping to learn some more insights.
Cool. Thanks, Charles. Thanks for the honesty. I really appreciate it. Great. Who's next?
My name is Sean, and I'm thinking about just what is in store in this next hour and what we can all learn and grow with. I'm feeling a little anxious because I might accidentally mute somebody or unmute somebody or hang up the entire call. I've done it before. So, and what I'm hoping to get from this session is I just want to be a sponge. I want to take in everything that's presented and discussed and see how it applies to my life and take what I need and leave the rest.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. Just don't press any buttons and you'll be good with the call. Great.
Hey,
I'm sorry,
guys.
I cut someone off. Go ahead.
Hey guys, Jake. I was just going to let you all know that I'm excited about this call, and I am thinking just what a gorgeous day it is outside, and just getting to feel the breeze and see the sun and smell the air, which is really, really nice. I'm feeling great, feeling excited, feeling anticipatory about this call, and looking to get out of it. You know, just I love this topic of spirituality. I love the holistic growth, and so I'm just looking forward to diving in.
Cool. Thanks, Jake. It looks like you got kicked out of the classroom too. So, all right, who's next?
Hi, I'm Yesenia. I'm thinking that I'm finally understanding the fact that scheduling things and putting it on a calendar is working because I didn't miss this call. Yay me! I'm feeling really excited about that because I am a very, very unorganized person. And I believe that if I put myself into it, I'm gonna make sure to attend everything I have to and be where I have to be all the time. And I'm hoping to get more insight from a different person or from a different perspective about spiritual wellness.
Cool. Welcome and congratulations.
Thanks.
I'll go next. This is Maggie. I am thinking that this coronavirus is causing a lot of multitasking going on for me right now. And I'm feeling good. What I'm hoping to get from this session is, like most others, just another perspective on spiritual wellness and see what kind of growth I can get from it.
Cool. Thanks, Maggie.
Good afternoon. I'm David. I'm actually thinking a lot about what the changes in my life will take place, and I'm feeling a little unsettled. And I'm hoping to get kind of back here and present, so I can, because I really would like to. I'm always interested in spiritual work and what people do to connect with themselves and whatever they may call the greater good.
Cool. Thanks, David.
My name's Blake. I'm thinking about, like, I'm hoping I'll be able to keep up with this. I'm feeling peaceful and content because it is a gorgeous day outside, and I think that's contributing to me feeling that way. What I'm hoping to get out of this, I'm not quite sure yet, but I'll know it when I get it, if that works.
That totally works. And let us know when you find out what it is.
Yeah, I will. I'll raise my hand.
Blake. All right. Who's next?
I'm Christy. I'm thinking about 101 different things right now, from travel plans this weekend to if I'm going to work next week, what's going to happen tonight. And because of all those thoughts, I'm feeling extremely anxious. What I'm hoping to get from this session is just a little bit more insight on how to balance my spiritual life with my regular daily living, because it consumes a lot of my time with the activities I do. And I find myself, with my volunteer activities, I find myself extremely worn out spiritually, emotionally, and physically by the end of the weekend. So that's what I hope to get from it.
Cool. Thanks, Christy. Who else? I think we have a few people left to go.
I'll go.
Thanks,
I'm Rose, and what am I thinking? A lot of things, actually. I am thinking about work and all the things that need to be done, and I need more time.
Okay.
How I'm feeling? I'm feeling good. I'm loving this weather we have down here. I don't know if you guys know, but it's like 80 degrees, and I've been laying out by the pool, and that's really nice. Connecting with nature there. And what I'm hoping to get from this session is just hoping to learn something that'll add to what I already practice for spirituality.
Cool. Thank you, Rose.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 80 degrees in Jersey, just so you know. Cool. I know we still have a couple more people to go, so whoever'd like to go next.
Hi, I'm Andy, and I am thinking that I really didn't want to talk because there's there's people around here, and I'm feeling a little chilled. I should have grabbed my jacket, and I'm hoping to get from the session just to give my spiritual wellness a little attention.
Cool. Thanks, Andy. And you won't have to talk again, so you're good. Cool. I think there's one or two others.
Hi, I'm one. I'm Lillian. I'm thinking, or where am I? I'm in Minneapolis. I'm thinking that I'm multitasking right now, so I don't want to screw up my work when I listen to this. But I'm pumped to hear what you have to say and what we all have to share, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Lillian. All right. Who would like to go? I think there's a couple more. If you would like to go, please do so. Okay. So I'm I'm going to move on then. And if folks want to pipe in and join in later, feel free to. You know, one of the things I'll just mention about why I call that exercise the check-in, and it's, for me, it's a big part of our spiritual wellness, because it's a time we take, and if everyone wants to go on mute who isn't, that would be awesome. But it's a time we take actually to actually notice what we're thinking and feeling, which is not something that is conditioned into us to do very often. And often just that sort of breath of what actually am I thinking or feeling in this moment is a way to regain our sense of being centered and calm in a way that then lets us operate from a place of more groundedness and really almost fuel our own spiritual wellness. So just to kind of do a little bit of the method to the madness. The next slide I want to talk about, I just wanted to, sorry, there we go. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk a bit about, and this is Stephanie Wilkes' opinion, so please know this is neither right nor wrong, it's just a point of view. What spiritual wellness is, you know, I think it is very much a sense of connection or a sense of purpose. It provides us with an understanding of our faiths, our faith, beliefs, values, ethics, principles, moral that guide our choices. And I put all of those words in here because whether you call it your ethics or your values or your morals, the important thing to spiritual wellness is to understand and have a sense of what are the factors that help us decide how we want to behave and what we want to do. And that alignment between knowing the things that drive our choices and then making choices in alignment to that is really core to fueling our sense of spiritual wellness. It's fueling our sense of overall wellness, but in particular our spiritual wellness. And there are many ways to cultivate spiritual wellness. I've lifted a bunch of them here, but what, you know, if you go to the other side, what spiritual wellness is not, is it's not only defined by formal faith-based practices like formal religion. I think spiritual wellness is far more inclusive than that and can be fulfilled in very many ways. And the other thing I would say is spiritual wellness is absolutely individual and absolutely moment to moment. What you need to connect into who you are and what makes you feel well in this moment may change a week from now. You know, it may change a year from now. It may change based on life experiences. And so what I believe is really powerful when we connect into this is developing the capacity and understanding of ourselves in a way that lets us listen to what does feel good and therefore do more of that relative to our connection to purpose, is really, you know, the bedrock, if you like, of creating and fueling a powerful spiritual wellness practice. And that is probably the last thing I'll say just on this page is, you know, in my opinion, it really is a practice versus an outcome. It's not a one and done that we check off and go, great, now I've got this covered. It's that sort of daily commitment to doing the things that help us connect into what matters to us, both to allow us to make choices that are aligned to it and also to help us more deeply understand that. If I then go to just a definition, and this is from the University of Chicago, and I think it's as good as it needs to be. I don't think it's perfect, but it's well enough, is spiritual wellness is being connected to something greater than yourself, having a set of values, principles, morals, and beliefs that provide a sense of purpose and meaning to your life, and then using those principles to guide your actions. And again, three things. A connection to something bigger than ourselves is important to provide the perspective and the sense of meaning. This guiding principles or morals to help us make choices, being really clear on what our purpose is and the meaning it can bring to our life, and then putting those into action so we don't end up with that disconnection that actually can be quite toxic to spiritual wellness. Because when we know what we believe, I don't know if anyone has ever experienced this, I certainly have, knowing my values and then also knowing I'm really behaving in a way that's inconsistent to them, and not feeling like I have a choice or the ability to change that is a really stress-inducing, toxic way to have to operate. And so it's that piece of, you know, being able to sense those things and then step back and make choices. And please, if there are questions that come up while I'm talking, or even thoughts that you're having of what feels interesting or what you disagree with or what you agree with, please either text them over or just note them down, and we'll have a bit of a chat at the end as well. So what are some ways to invest in your spiritual wellness? You know, the first one is, I think, a lifetime experience and a lifetime activity. It doesn't come all at once or even ever fully, but it's really taking the time and committing to understanding who you are and what matters to you. And some of the things below this, I think, are tools and enablers to do that. But, you know, that even just the intentional commitment to be curious and connected to your spiritual core and what matters to you sets you up to have perspective in a way that without that intention, you miss a lot of details that can be helpful in driving this. The next one, you know, looking for deeper meanings. And I think for this, it's really just that the mindset of curiosity. So, you know, for instance, this morning, I'll just share a story from my own life that was a good example of both being out of alignment and in alignment with this. My parents are in Portugal right now. My mom is 82 years old and has, you know, a history of breathing ailments, and the COVID-19 virus is really scary. And so I was on the phone with them yesterday. I said, you have to get out of Portugal. You need to get home. Got them convinced to do it. We were going to reconnect today and get them flying home. Overnight, of course, a travel ban went in place and flights sold out. And so at 6:15 this morning, I get a text from my mom saying, need help with flights. I spent an hour and a half getting that done. Thought I had it done. And then she called back with like all these questions, which made me feel really time stressed to get to my yoga practice on time. And my first reaction was, I'm just really pissed off and resentful that, you know, me being a good daughter in my mind, helping them get flights, put me in this place of not being able to service my own needs. And then I sort of took a couple breaths and I went, actually, she didn't ask me to respond to that second text right away. I chose to do that. So what's my curiosity there? It's like, what's my guilt around not being a good daughter and all of that other stuff? And so I only say it to go, it was one of those moments, they happen for us 25 times a day, where we can either react habitually or we can go, what actually was going on? And for me, it was, I knew that I needed to do things to take care of myself. And I don't yet have a great way to say to my mom, I need some time to take care of myself. And it was just another example where my own pattern of like this be a perfect daughter stuff came up. And it was another chance for me to learn about that and make different choices. And so I share that with you as an example of, I'm confident for everyone those things come up in your life moment by moment. And then I can forgive myself, by the way, for resenting my mother, because it's like, that wasn't about her, that was about me. Okay, great, good, yay, Steph. Now go back, and how do you want to respond and how do you want to behave? And it's that interrupting of our habits that help us understand what matters to us most. And then as we understand what matters to us most, we process it more quickly, and we can sort of stay in this place of possibility. And someone on the check-in mentioned they were feeling calm and peaceful. Blake, you said you were feeling peaceful, and that's just such a lovely way to notice if you're really in a good place in your spiritual wellness. When you can feel calm and peaceful, it's usually really good feedback that actually you're taking care of things and operating in a way that supports that. So sorry for the story of my mother. Thank you all for listening. And they are on flights and will arrive home tomorrow. Yay. All right, getting it out. How many people, just for show of hands, feel uncomfortable sort of writing down or expressing to someone else when you're feeling out of sorts and really speaking about your feelings versus just bitching and complaining? Thank you for the honesty, Dennis. and you know what I will say on this is better out than in. I don't know if everyone has seen the movie in Shrek when they're, you know, passing gas in the steam pond, But there is really this sense of better out than in. And it doesn't matter if it's out to another human or if you just take 5 minutes to write it down so it's not in your head in a way that it can escalate and spin and become way bigger than it initially was. You know, and I know journaling's not for everyone, so I'm not saying start a journal. I am saying, though, be cognizant of expressing what's going on in your head. Let go of it in a way that you can create perspective and therefore make sense of it. And, you know, again, I would say sometimes that's totally appropriate to do in a journal. Sometimes you need a level of support through formal counseling or other support. All of those things are really powerful and appropriate to do. You know, I will say I am a massive believer in formal therapy. I think it's incredibly powerful, and I don't think it's indicative of us being broken or sick. I just think it's indicative of us taking care of ourselves. The most important thing, though, in relative to spiritual wellness is getting it out of your head and letting it sit there in a way you don't have to continue to spin on it. I don't know if anyone else has this, but sometimes for me, I'll wake up at 3 in the morning and I'll be spinning on something and I can't get back to sleep. I will say that when I spin on it, I write it down on a Post-it note beside my bed, it goes away and I can sleep again. And so it's just another example of potentially some techniques that let you be kind to yourself and take care of yourself. Try yoga. and if my son and husband were here, they'd laugh. But I really do believe this. It doesn't have to be yoga, but any practice, whether it's yoga or running or, you know, I know, Dennis, you do triathlons, like this piece of doing a physical activity that lets us take care of ourselves physically and have space where we have to focus on something else than the chatter in our mind or the intensity of our emotional feelings is a really powerful way to gain perspective. And you'll hear through everything I'm saying right now that a big part of increasing your spiritual wellness is increasing your capability to have perspective on the situation around you. Whether that's your feelings, as in get it out, or your mental chatter, as in yoga or running or whatever works for you, but just having routines and rituals that allow you to create space and time to gain perspective is important. Travel, new experiences, and this is a way I'm an engineer by training, so to me this is like another source of gathering more data for your experiments around what makes you feel good. So getting out in the world, and by the way, it doesn't mean go travel to somewhere far away. Go to a different part of your town or city that you don't normally go to. Just get yourself in environments that are stimulating and help you be more present to what's going on around you to gather more data. The next one is motherhood and apple pie, but it's true. Noticing and seeing the world through possibility and gratitude let you also then reframe and have perspective on situations that open you up to creative solutions. Meditation, similar to yoga, is an incredibly scientifically proven technique to help us connect into our core and sit in a place of greater overall wellness and spiritual wellness, because it lets us calm the chatter in a way that lets us hear kind of what might be more important or sitting there. There are massive amounts of apps on your phone or other places you can access this. And then the last one, which I'm going to show you a couple other slides on, is exploring and understanding your personal purpose. And this is really the exercise in knowing what I call it leading for, but knowing what you're trying to create for yourself and your family, or yourself and your team or your organization, in a way that lets you be connected to something more than just the day-to-day job. It's that piece of connected to something more that matters to you. And it's almost the synthesis of much of what's on this page. Why is it not letting me advance? Okay, so there's a couple ways. So let me just stop and check in. How's everyone doing? Any questions so far? Anything you're noticing feels really important to you from what I've said so far? Anything that feels like total bullshit?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, for me, getting it out, that struck me because the other day I just exploded because I had just been, just holding stuff in about my posts and we should get online, and I just went off and I felt good about it, and everybody else came to me afterward and said, that's exactly what we needed to hear. That we've been thinking about the same thing, and that's what we need to do. And so that felt good. But just getting it out, I think, was really struck me.
Cool. Thanks, Charles.
For me, it was the meditation part, because I've been hearing a lot about meditation lately, as far as like, hey, you should do it, you should practice it. But I don't even know what meditation is, how to do it, how you go about doing it, or anything like that. So that was something that kind of makes me want to dive a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah, I thanks, Blake. And I meditate every day for about 10 minutes, which is really the amount of time it takes. I use an app on my phone called Headspace. And it's this lovely British guy who teaches you exactly what you need to know and makes you feel like you're good at it. So I definitely, as I said, there's a ton of them, and I'm not trying to sell Headspace. It's also incredibly simple, and I would recommend it. I think there's like a free 30-day trial as well, so it's quite accessible.
Cool.
And again, I would just say on meditation, there's so much science coming up that indicates how a small amount of time doing that on a regular basis is incredibly powerful for our wellness. So I will keep my fingers crossed that you find a way to engage and learn about it. Anything else coming up for folks? Okay, I'm going to keep going then. So what you'll see in front of you now, and I'm just going to, there you go. I can't see any of your faces now because I want to see the whole slide. But what you're seeing here, I have two techniques for you to think about personal purpose. And again, the reason personal purpose matters as it relates to the wellness we're talking about is because the more we understand kind of what we think we're here to do and lead for, and the change we're here to create, or the change we're here to amplify, the more we're able to really feel at peace with that and connect in and lean into it in a way that helps us feel proud and content with the contributions we're making. And so a sense of personal purpose unleashes our engagement and energy because we're really aligned with something that matters to it. It's the foundation, as I said, that helps us lead with passion and focus our energy, not just on what others tell us is important, but what we sort of know in our heart and our core is important. Our ability to align our personal purpose to our organization's purpose or our family's purpose is a really fundamental way that we amplify our own ability to connect and impact things. And it's really hard to do all of that stuff if we don't know what we stand for. So it's almost like this is the table stakes or the groundwork that's needed for us to really show up and be our most powerful in group situations. And so, and we can send these slides out to everyone, but it really is an individual work sheet that you can do, which is we start, and I usually start at the bottom in the purple box, because often this is the one that's easiest for people to connect to, which is really, what are my passions? You know, if I sort of step back from everything else and just go, what are the things when I do them, I totally lose track of time. When I do them, what are the things that make me feel alive and energized? And what do I love, even if I'm terrible at it? So again, an example from my own life is, I really, I'm about to embarrass myself. I really love singing, and I really suck at singing. But it is something that when I think about it, I really am able to say, I love that because it lets me connect and take my mind off things and be present to sort of a different type of experience. And so don't worry about, do you have a right to succeed in this area in the purple box? Just take, 2 or 3 blank sheets of paper and write down what are the things you love to do that make you feel great, that when you're doing them, you totally zone out. That's box 1. Box 2 is the what are you really good at? What are your talents? What have you always been good at? What did you like to do as a child? What comes naturally to you? And when you're having a conversation with someone, what are the things you tell them that your strengths or talents are? And again, don't worry about whether those two things align yet. The power of this exercise actually isn't about creating synthesis yet. It's actually almost treating each of these as independent quadrants. And then at the end, we look for, what does that come together and tell us? So what do you love? What are your passions? What are you good at? What are your talents? And then at the top, it's really kind of sensing into, from your perspective, what does the world need? So, you know, where are there injustices in the world? What makes you angry? What makes you happy? What are the things that when you look at the world, you really notice, you wish you could have a positive impact on changing? And so you sort of create those triangles. And then what I always tell people to do is you take those and you put them out on a table, sort of in this orientation, and then you just stare at them and see what the connections are that come for you. And you take it 5 minutes and go, oh, that could be something. And you do that a few times and you iterate on it, and then you talk to people about it, and it's that there is no right format for a purpose. There is no kind of quality control on a purpose. It really is just about, if it feels like something that gives you a sense of direction and makes you feel energized and engaged, it's a good start on your purpose. And if any of you are going through transitions in assignments or in, other stuff in your life, kind of, if you're going through a transition, you'll know if the purpose is kind of where it needs to be, because it'll help you have clarity around what choices you want to make as you move forward. And so as an example for me, in my own purpose is around unlocking the potential in people. And when I look at the world and see the needs that are out there in the world, there's a ton of people out there who feel constrained and diminished because of circumstances around them. And I look at my passions are connecting people and helping them grow. My passions are learning and being curious about other people in their lives. And my talents, which you may or may not be seeing in this call, I really love to listen. And I've always been told I'm a great listener and great at synthesizing ideas. And so as I look at those things, it comes to this connection of my purpose is to help others unlock their potential. And it's, do know that I've been working on that clarity I just shared with you in 3 minutes since about 2003. So it's not like that is something that has come overnight. But when I say that, and I say my purpose is to help unlock potential in people, I can look at opportunities, I can look at how I parent, and it really helps guide me in the way I engage in things. So that's one thing on purpose. Before I go to the other process, are there any questions about that approach? Okay. So the other approach, which is just another way to look at purpose, is to really notice that our purpose is also dependent on where we're at in our lives and the situations around us. Sometimes we need a purpose that's really at the survival mechanism. How do I get clear on, am I making enough money? Do I have shelter over my head? Can I buy clothes? Do I have scarcity of food or food insecurity? And that really takes us to a very functional place. Next setup is a mastery purpose, which is really around how do I, in the scope or in an environment I'm in, really be the best at this, whether it's the best I can be or the best overall. As we move up, making a difference. This is a purpose that really does start to lean more heavily around what does the world need? And how you can make the change. And then as you go beyond that, it's much more about, in the wider world, how do I sense connection and changes that can happen? And I find that, first of all, none of these purposes are superior to another. They're about being appropriate for the situation you're in at that time, which goes back to the point I said around spiritual wellness is very much in the moment, in the day. And really being honest with yourself about where you're at and what you aspire to helps you, when you're doing the work on this page, ground into a purpose that feels powerful and actionable for you. And again, I would say to you, in the world of spiritual wellness, connecting into this sense of purpose, even if it's a starting point, is a really good lighthouse that guides you as you move forward and gather the data and get curious and see the patterns, because it gives you something to compare it to. So that was actually kind of the content. I know we have about 20 minutes left. And again, just going back to the same question I asked earlier, love to hear kind of, you know, either any questions you have unrelated to what I shared, but related to the topic. Totally open to have those conversations. And also from what I shared, you know, what was of interest or what felt powerful to you? Or again, what was total bullshit, and love to hear why.
Stephanie, I'll throw out the purpose motive is huge. You know, for me, you know, since I retired from the military, trying to find or make sure that the purpose motive is there on a regular basis is something that, you know, you said you've been after it since 2003. So I've been after it since 2016, and you know, it's a struggle, but I'd also say that the frameworks that you provided are absolutely helpful, and to wrap your head around, well, what matters to me and what am I going to do about it? Because that's that's the thing that's going to pull you out of bed in the morning, and really make you and allow you to be your best self. So the framework piece, I think, was super powerful. So thank you.
Cool, thanks, Dennis. And yeah, I would say to you, it pulls you out of bed in the morning, and it helps you in those times when you really are tense, ground into how you want to respond that's consistent with staying healthy and well.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you talk about resilience, and I know you and I have talked about this before, you know, part of the resilience formula, at least for me, is that purpose piece, right?
Yeah.
You know, you've got, what are you doing for your body for, you know, stamina and function and mobility? What are you doing for your mental health and mindfulness in terms of clarity and focus and endurance? And then what are you doing in terms of social energy for support and connection and accountability? But 25% of that equation, if not more, is the purpose motive. So I appreciate that too.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. And, you know, guys, the other thing which I didn't put in the slides, but I'll share with you is, you know, my own practice of spiritual wellness is quite routinized every morning. And I only share this because I think it can be helpful. Is I start my day with a 10-minute meditation, a super quick yoga practice. It's like literally 5 to 7 minutes. And then about, you know, somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes of journaling, which is just that get it out. So it's not circling in mind. And I'm really ruthless about protecting that time, because I notice when I do that, I am connected more into what matters to me and more able to respond in a way that I'm guided by my values. And so what I would say to all of you is, you know, there's a ton of research out there that says it takes 30 days to create a new habit. And so as you embark on and think about how to fuel your spiritual wellness, you know, just committing to 1 or 2 things that you want to do that are part of a practice, but committing to them for that period of time and giving yourself a chance to notice the difference can be really powerful. And I know that what I do, because both my kids are at college, is not something everyone can do in terms of their time or their lifestyle. So please know I'm not being prescriptive. I'm just sharing what works for me. And my dogs get frustrated by the end of it because they want the walk to start about halfway through the yoga practice. Just saying. Any other reflections or thoughts?
Yeah, something that I picked up out of this, the one thing that really stuck out to me was, yeah, you know, passions and talents. I think I have a pretty good handle on that, but it's what the world needs, and how do I fit in the greater picture with what I have to offer and what I'm already jazzed up about. I think there's some of that realization that's already been occurring, but I think this gives me the opportunity to look at it a little bit with more intention and find how I can deliver on those needs of the world.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. Anything else coming up for folks?
Yeah, for me, it was a personal purpose. You know, because again, just like the meditation, that's something that I've been hearing. You know, what's about its personal purpose, passion, and stuff like that. And the thing is, I have no idea what I'm passionate about. I have no idea what I want my purpose to be, and it's starting to get to the point where it bothers
me. Yeah.
So I guess I just need to start digging into that a little bit more. Again, I don't know exactly how to go about doing that, but I'll do it some way, somehow.
Well, and like my invitation is, sometimes the more we it's almost like the more we relax and just notice what feels good, the easier it is to go, oh, I really love whatever that was. And like not needing it to be, it's almost like we don't have to have the things we're passionate about prove to us we're passionate about them. Once we're relaxed enough to go, oh, that just made me feel happy.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's things I like to do, but I think I struggle with, hey, I like to do this, but I don't think this is going to pay the bills.
And two things.
Whatever my passion is going to have to pay the bills.
Yeah. And that's why I actually love that purpose triangle, because it lets you say, here's what I am passionate about and here's what I'm good at, and they don't have to be the same thing. Right? Because sometimes it's your talents that pay the bills, not your passions.
I just need something to pay the bills.
Yeah. Paying the bills is an important thing. Yeah. And, the other thing I'll say is that Diamond Workshop or work page, it's a really great thing too, if you're struggling, to go up to someone you trust and say, can you just describe to me what you see my talents as? Because sometimes we get clouded for so many reasons and actually can't connect into what other people see as so true in us and what we're good at.
Right.
So,
my wife would love to do that.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I'm assuming there wasn't sarcasm in that, but if there was,
no, not at all.
Too.
Not at all. No sarcasm whatsoever. I trust her completely.
Yeah. And I would just say, like, hey, honey, can you tell me, like, what do you think I am? Like, what do you notice I'm great at?
Yeah. One thing I'll never ask her is what I could do better at. I won't ask her that.
Yeah. I mean, she'll have a list on that too. And, I don't want to get involved, but, going to your friends, I went through an exercise, I don't know, in like 2009, where I went to the group of people I worked with and I said, because I was really working on like, what is it uniquely I bring to the corporate world? And I said, can you just tell me, the two things that you think I do really well? And it's humbling because, the fear and the risk is they don't say anything. And you're like, wow, that felt awful. But normally people notice what you can't notice about yourself. And it can be really validating and powerful.
Good. Thank you.
Hey, welcome. Anything else, guys?
Stephanie, I'd like to weigh in. I just appreciate that purpose finding chart that you put up. I think it's so critical for us to do the work to explore that. And even Blake, going back to kind of what you mentioned, like, hey, how am I going to, figure out how to pay the bills? I want to just get work. I mean, if it matches up with my purpose, great. I appreciate the distinction you made about talents and, what are you good at? And yet, too, as you are going through this journey of kind of having these conversations with your network, right? I mean, these people that you may know, or maybe they're individuals who are like 1 or 2 degrees removed. And as you get more clarity on this purpose, and you get more passionate about sharing what you love and sharing what you want to do and how your drives and desires kind of match up with this great need in the world. I mean, it's I don't know, like from being a guy who's talked about this with a lot of different people, sometimes when you're talking about the things that you're passionate about, it seems so mundane to you because you're thinking deeply about these things and you're so moved and motivated by them that it's almost like this is kind of like old hat for me. It doesn't seem super inspiring maybe, or just, novel. And yet when you share about it with others, then it's like from the outside, it looks totally different. And so that's why I think it's just so important to think this through and to work on this. because you talk about getting a job, that is oftentimes what sparks that next opportunity is as you're talking about your purpose and your passion with somebody. They're like, well, you know what, actually, I do know somebody who does these things, and where that may not even been on their radar before. And it's just, it's almost like you talked about, like the universe kind of charting that path for you. So, I just think it's so important for us to do that work. And, I just really appreciate you bringing that in, and how it can have even a practical, I got to find a job, kind of a opening of doors for an individual as they do the work.
Yeah. And Jake, thank you so much. I love the way you connected those things, and we've all been in the presence of someone describing something they love. And the energy that you bring to a conversation when you're talking about something you love is contagious. And to your point, it opens other people up to go, yes, I do know someone who can help you with that, as it relates to the finding a job stuff too. So we're often at our best selves when we're talking about those things that are our passions.
Yeah, and I just have noticed too, that for me, it's not this aha moment oftentimes when I'm talking about those with other people. It almost feels mundane even, but that's not the feeling on the other end.
Exactly.
So just kind of have hope in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Great. Anything else coming up for folks as we talk this through?
Yes, this is Yesenia. So for me, finding my purpose and my passion is not the issue, because I think I have that very clear, and people that surround me or that know me kind of know my passions also and my purpose. But for me, my issue is more of a foundation, meaning that it's very difficult for me to develop my purpose in life because I have issues, and I have been trying to work on the issues of believing in myself and that I am capable of giving the world what I have in me, and helping a lot of other people the ways that my passion and my purpose is supposed to be. So for me, it goes even deeper than defining my purpose in life. It's finding the way to believing in myself, which I have done a lot of work, which I have been circling around, like training and therapy and self resilience and self-talks and stuff like that. But I find myself going back to not believing in my potential and myself. So that's where I'm standing right now.
Well, I first just want to really stand in awe of how well you just described that, and how vulnerable and honest and powerful what you just said was. And I think it's really impressive, quite frankly. And the other thing is, I think a few things. I think you've got a community around you here who's ready to help and support you in that. And I would also say sometimes when the talent side of that purpose triangle.
Yes.
Sometimes we need to be a little more in our own faces. And so what I've done and what I've had clients do, it does, I'm not saying this is a silver bullet, and I'm by no means diminishing, it's a journey. So please know I come from a place of really deep empathy and like kindness and care and support for you on this. But even things like just putting Post-its on the mirror of your bathroom that remind you of the things you're amazing at, or putting them on your cell phone screen, so that you're creating that positivity on a routine basis. I know for me it was an incredibly powerful tactic when I was feeling particularly burnt out and uncertain. So just sending you huge love, and I'm feeling really inspired and touched by what you shared, and also so impressed with all the work you're doing on yourself. To really help you move through that. And, again, you got here on time. And so you're clearly doing something that's helping you hold your commitments. And I just would say, don't let yourself take for granted the successes you do have. like the one you had today. It's huge.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what I'd love to transition to now, which again, for me is part of my spiritual wellness practice, is what I call a checkout. And it's really, Dennis is smiling because he knows I always do this. What I'd love us to do is just, we'll go around and again, pop up. So whoever can go in and just sort of a one sentence or one word around what you felt was, what you're feeling in this moment. And I'll let whoever wants to start go ahead.
I'll start. Grateful for the opportunity to gain some perspective and insight from a good friend.
Cool. Thank you, Dennis.
I'll go next. My word is hopeful.
Thank you.
My word is that I'm more compassionate now about some things, and really excited the next step in my life and the next my journey. And I'm at peace. So I know you didn't ask for all of that, but
I am grateful receiving all of it. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
My word would be. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Roll.
Jesse, you go ahead.
Okay, mine is teamwork. Just hearing Yesenia talk, she's not alone. There's a big community here. So my thing is teamwork.
Yeah. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
Stephanie, I just appreciate your time today and the wisdom that you brought to us and your patience. And you can tell that, you have got this incredibly peaceful spirit about you. So I am definitely feeling moved, Yesenia, by what you spoke. And that's the kind of feeling I have about the whole conversation. This was a sacred space I feel like we got to walk into with one another. So just very grateful for that. And Yesenia, I did want to share just how much I appreciate your smile. Every time I see it, you light up the room. And I just when people tell you those things, sometimes it's incredibly important to remember them because you have an incredible impact. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Jake. And just
thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. I would just say too, you've got this community around you, so please reach out and ask for any support or help that this community can offer. I think I love the description, Jake, of a sacred space, and it felt that way for me. And so as we hold one another, just so you know that people are here to help and support you. And I broke my own rule on checkout, so I'm going to start again and say, whoever wants to go next, please go next.
I'll go. I'm going to steal Yesenia's word, hopeful. I feel hopeful about, taking better care of my spiritual wellness and well-being. So thank you for your time.
Cool. Thanks, Blake.
I would say empowered to continue making a change in the world and addressing that intentionally.
Thanks, Sean. I know we've got a few more people to go.
I feel good. I feel mercy. I feel like the banner over all of us is like mercy. Just like be merciful with each other, ourselves. Yeah.
Thanks, Lillian. Andrea, if you want to text it instead of put it in the chat feature instead of talking, because I know you're in a public space, that's also fine.
Also, I feel re-energized and re-motivated to continue finding my purpose.
Cool. Thanks, Andrea. Or Andy, I'm sorry. And I think, David, that leaves you and me. Do you want to go next?
There we go. Yeah, I am grateful, and I look forward to doing some additional work using that and answering some of those questions for myself. So thank you.
Thanks, David. And I'm feeling really grateful. It's a topic that I always feel nervous about sharing because it's one that can be really like a lightning rod for folks, sometimes positively and sometimes negatively. And I feel really supported and connected to all of you. So thank you for taking the time to listen and respond. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for being here, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Cool, you're welcome. And guys, Sean and Jake, feel free to send the slides out to the group. I'm more than happy for you to do that.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will say this too, guys. You know, Stephanie and the rest of those coaches who've been on these calls with us have, in the past, given us the opportunity. If there's a follow-up or a connection that you'd like to make with them personally, then please let us know. We can help get email addresses or contacts or whatever, so that we could share later on. But Sean, when's our next call?
The next one.
Next call, April 16th at 3 o'clock.
Eastern.
Perfect. Eastern time. Yeah. All right. Love you guys. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe out there.
Yes, wash your hands.
Go up. Bye-bye.
Bye.